A little girl in a sparkling tutu, twirling under the stage lights, her heart pounding with excitement for her first dance recital. The audience hushes, the music swells, and just as she leaps into her solo, the world tilts, her legs buckle, not from nerves, but from a deliberate, cruel sweep that sends her crashing to the floor. Laughter echoes from the wings, harsh and mocking. Now they match your life, broken and useless, a voice sneers. That girl was me, Lila, at 8 years old, and that voice belonged to my father. In that moment, as pain shot through my knees and tears blurred the spotlights, I didn't just fall physically, I plummeted into a chasm of doubt and betrayal that would define my childhood. But hold on, because this isn't just a tale of downfall, it's about rising from the ashes, and by the end, you'll see how my story mirrors yours, urging you to step into your own light. Growing up in a cramped apartment on the outskirts of a bustling city, life with my father was a minefield disguised as normalcy. He was a former athlete, a high school football star whose dreams shattered when a knee injury ended his shot at the pros. Bitter and unemployed, he drowned his regrets in cheap beer, turning his resentment toward anyone who dared to shine, especially me. My mother had left when I was 5, fleeing his temper, leaving me as the sole target of his frustrations. Dance was my escape, discovered in a community center class where Miss Elena, a kind-hearted instructor with a limp from her own accident, saw potential in my clumsy but passionate moves. "You have fire in your feet, Lila," she'd say, her eyes twinkling. I practiced endlessly in our tiny living room, dodging furniture and his disapproving glares. The recital was my big break, a chance to perform in front of scouts from a prestigious dance academy. I poured my soul into it, sewing sequins onto my costume by hand, dreaming of pirouettes that could whisk me away from the shadows at home. The day of the recital dawned bright, but tension simmered like a storm brewing. Father grumbled about the waste of time, but I begged him to come, hoping foolishly for a spark of pride. Backstage, as I warmed up, he cornered me. "You think you're special? Twirling like some fairy?" His breath reeked of alcohol. Then, as I stepped toward the stage, he stuck out his foot, deliberate, vicious, tripping me mid-stride. I hit the ground hard, the crack of my knee against the wood echoing like a gunshot. The audience gasped, but his laughter cut through, low and venomous. "Look at that. Now your legs match your life, crippled before you even start." Humiliation burned hotter than the pain. Medics rushed in, diagnosing a torn ligament that would sideline me for months. The scouts left without a glance, and Miss Elena's sympathetic hug couldn't mend the fracture in my spirit. That night, alone in my room with an ice pack and swollen dreams, I vowed never to dance again. Why bother when the one person meant to support you delights in your fall? Recovery was a battlefield of physical therapy and emotional turmoil. My knee healed slowly, but the scars ran deeper. Father dismissed it as an accident, chuckling at family dinners as if it were a joke. School became a refuge, where friends like Jamie, a bookish boy with his own absent parents, noticed my withdrawal. "You're still that girl who lights up the room," he'd say during lunch, sharing his sketches of dancers that reminded me of my lost passion. But self-doubt whispered lies, "You're broken, unworthy." The first major challenge came when Miss Elena visited, urging me to return to class. "Pain is part of the dance, Lila. It's what makes the grace meaningful." I resisted, fearing another betrayal. Yet, one rainy afternoon, I snuck into the empty studio, the familiar creak of the floorboards pulling at my heart. Tentatively, I moved, awkward at first, pain flaring, but the rhythm returned, a quiet rebellion against my father's cruelty. As months passed, small victories built momentum. I confided in a school counselor, who connected me with a support group for kids from abusive homes. There, I met others with stories that echoed mine, relatable souls like Sarah, whose mother belittled her art, and we bonded over shared wounds. Father noticed my growing independence and lashed out more, smashing my dance shoes in a rage. That was the breaking point. With Jamie's help, I reported him anonymously, leading to mandated anger management classes that forced a fragile truce. It wasn't perfect resolution, his apologies were grudging, but it gave me space to breathe. By chapter's end, I auditioned for a summer dance camp on scholarship, nailing a routine that incorporated my limp into the choreography, turning weakness into artistry. The acceptance letter arrived like a beacon, but greater storms loomed as I prepared to leave home, testing if I could truly break free. Stepping into the dance camp was like entering a new world, vibrant studios filled with echoing music, bodies in fluid motion, and air thick with ambition. At 14 now, my knee still ached on rainy days, a reminder of that fateful recital, but I'd learned to dance with it, not despite it. The camp director, Mr. Reyes, a retired ballerina with stories of his own injuries, paired me with a roommate named Aria, a fierce competitor from a privileged background who initially saw my hesitation as weakness. "If you're not all in, why bother?" she'd snap during rehearsals. Our first challenge was a group performance where egos clashed. Aria's perfectionism clashed with my improvisational style, born from adapting to pain. Tensions peaked when she mocked my scar during a late-night practice. "That thing makes you look fragile." It stung, echoing my father's words, but instead of retreating, I confronted her. "Fragile? This scar means I survived. What's your excuse for being scared of imperfection?" That raw honesty cracked Aria's facade. She confessed her own pressures, parents who demanded flawlessness, threatening to cut funding if she didn't win competitions. We became unlikely allies, relatable in our vulnerabilities, blending her precision with my emotion in our routines. Camp brought deeper trials, a mid-session injury flare-up that sidelined me during qualifiers for the final showcase. Doubt crept in again. Am I cursed to fall forever? Mr. Reyes pulled me aside. "Dance isn't about perfect legs, Lila. It's about a resilient heart." Inspired, I modified my solo, incorporating crutches as props in a contemporary piece symbolizing breaking chains. The performance earned standing ovations, resolving the physical hurdle by redefining strength. Back home, the real test awaited. Father had changed, attending sessions, but old habits died hard. When I shared my camp success, he sneered, "Lucky break. Won't last." His words ignited a fire. I applied for emancipation with help from the counselor and Miss Elena, who testified to my growth. The process was grueling, court hearings where his manipulation shone, painting me as ungrateful. Jamie stood by me, his quiet support a anchor, evolving into young love that bolstered my resolve. Resolution came when the judge ruled in my favor, granting independence at 16. I moved in with Miss Elena temporarily, turning her spare room into a mini studio. Years blurred into triumphs, scholarships to a dance conservatory, where I majored in choreography, creating pieces that wove personal trauma into universal stories. Aria became a lifelong friend, collaborating on tours. Father reached out sporadically, sober now, seeking forgiveness. It wasn't easy. I set boundaries, sharing coffee but not my heart fully. The ultimate challenge was my professional debut, a solo recital echoing that childhood disaster. Nerves gripped me backstage, but as the curtain rose, I danced, not for approval, but for the girl who fell and rose again. The audience's applause washed away the echoes of laughter. Now, at 25, I run a dance therapy program for at-risk youth, teaching them to turn pain into power. My story joins yours here. Whatever kick life, or someone trusted, has dealt you, remember, broken legs can still carry you to extraordinary heights. They don't match a crippled life, they forge one of unyielding grace. Rise, twirl, and own your stage. Your resilience is the most beautiful performance of all.